Good morning. I would like to remind you bodhicitta, and you know how to generate, so I don't need to explain. Take what simple memory, Kadam Ling Rinpoche, Sadi Changchu Samba no Ruchong, Shechawa Shusho, Therapeutic Bodhisattva, Mani, Awale Pegedo, Changchu Samba no Ruchong, Tuji Chambola Chasaw, Lamana Chasaw, Tebe Hava, Chasaw, Tesum Tamji Pontash, Dulan and the Jesus, Nimu, Dr. Zundum Beversa. Then, Shishin Payo, the one of Kudus, Vincent to some young and Sunday Villa, Tapas, Dagi Nyenpa, Rasha, Sangye Chuba, Samis, Dagi, and Bajan, Sangye Nyenpa. Nieta Kudi Pontash, Kerata, there were something choices, Gelatin, Sovarsa. Some of the Indian Pontash, Changusum, the tempers, Migi, Pontash, Talu, tempers, Trolan, I just some members of the tempers, Robert Soba Pontash, Treasure Sovarsa. Something comes to Pontash, Public Notice, Jambas, Lucitan, Pontash, Governor, and Nevers. Charlie, see your Pontash, Dadon, and Dombas, Lama, Kimberton, the Division of Jebasa. Consa Chuji Mission, and the Lamboy is in Dublin to Jebasa. Simply come to Thomas, a common person to Shise, Dibu Trouble Pontash, and Gavation in Yabasa, down on Megis, Kondo de one Rosa, Kana, Sabo Pontash, Chawamilla, never saw. Chavi, the raw method, Tabesos, Jobasa, Kondo de Chotomo, Terror, never saw. Thomas, Sabo Kaim, but converting to Josati, that are none, Quinley, Shenduniga, Luminu, Dado, Diga, Gacha, Kondo to the Simchunse, Tessie, Major, Jazz, Lamentama, Chambersa. Shumbit Sumna, Shumbit Sumna, Shumbit Semis in the Doversa. Nika, Donga Nido, Bom, Kondo, Chatang, Yujunse, Yumaju, Shinduta, meaning Sinam Tubes, Chazashindu, Doversa. Lulan Nova Shumbit, Munjilis or Dovercha. All right, now next. We take Gumba, Ranation, Reda Siu, Roshindu. Dagi, Dani, Pachashin, Chabomela, never cha. Okay, now explanation is 3 days ago I did explain there are two. One meditation and the other one is the post-meditation. To me, this is case by case. To me, it's more practical that if somebody go out and deal with the situations and work with the situations and accept the situations as they are, and then you are able to be progress your practice, and you will know how much the improvement that you have made in your practice. But some cases, if you failed to do this, or if you really still face very difficult to accept things as they are, then the suggestion is go to retreat. Yes. This is a not good choice, but this is the choicelessly you have to choose. And the purpose of hiding in retreat is that you are so scared with the distractions. But that's the only purpose, that you are trying to escape or run away from the powerful distraction. You feel much relaxed, and that you can bring mind into the focus. And you experience in the retreat that you can develop the further and further your practice. So therefore, as the Gampopa said, the beginners, if you fail to fight directly with the distraction, then the next choice is then escape, run away from the distraction. Mm-hmm. And just a Tome Sangbo, in the 37th practice of the Bodhisattva, when he explains about the benefit of the retreat, or solitary retreat, he says, once you give up the negative object, which is the distraction, the benefit from there, what you can receive or gain is decline the disturbing emotion. Because in our lives, the most of the time, or most of the cases, these powerful, the disturbing emotional forces arise from the object. The pleasant things, then the desire arise. Unpleasant object, meeting this unpleasant object, then like sort of anger or something like unpleasant emotion arises. So all the emotion caused by the objects. So therefore, if you keep distance, the so-called yulingen means that the negative object, then gradually you can experience the emotional forces will be declined. Then once you being away from the object that cause you the restless your mind, then then no more destruction. Right? No more destruction in the retreat, in the solitary retreat. So when you are able to reduce the destruction or feeling of the destruction, then the practice or the virtuous action will be developed. Then you can experience the clear aspect of the mind, awareness. So clear, because the mind is totally free from the destruction, and you can experience the totally clear of your mind, and to become clearer and clearer. Then there you can the firmly rooted the certainty of the mind. Then you can your mind can completely enter into the Dhamma practice. So we must remember these three qualities. The number one is they reject the negative object. Number two, and then avoid the destruction. And then number three, because of these two, then one can enter into the genuine Dhamma. This is just example, not so important. Yeah, so you're not necessary to be like a dead body, but it's just giving example like in a long time back, like in Himalaya or in Tibet, there's not much people care for the dead body of the deers or animals in the forest, or then hardly find in the dens of the forest. So likewise, it means that you hide yourself because you are so scared to touch the mundane world, because this causes the mind restless. Therefore, abide independent, free from the destructions. All the practices in the Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana, the methods, the skills for the purpose of the decline our clinging and the grasping or holding tightly to any objects that cause you desires or anger, these the forces of the emotions. So therefore, all the methods, all the practices in those teachings are all for decline or to dispel our strong clinging. That's why many of practitioners, sometimes they make mistake in the concept of the practice of Vajrayana. They think that we should accept the things like the emotions, like as a really emotion, where you practice or you apply things. So this is a very the mistake, big mistake in the practice. In the Vajrayana, all the methods, the practices there for meditation or technique, whatever there, is for transform, because they realize the negative emotional forces are no other than our true nature of the mind. So they realize. So when these forces arise by the skillful means, they bring it into the Dhammadhatu, or back to our true nature of the mind. So that is the power of the transformation. It's not that we accept the desire as it is. It doesn't mean that we accept the anger as it is in the characteristic of the emotional itself, but rather because we realize these are no other than the true nature of our mind in the sense of the Dhamma Dhatu. So therefore transformation comes. Doesn't mean that, oh, we practice so we can accept everything like that. So any practice we do, it's very important to change our minds from our habitual the ways to move towards the virtuous ones. Why we always fail to apply the Dhamma practice accordingly? Because you see that our habitual tendency is so deep and so profound, and we so much get used to with it. It's so difficult to work with that. If you do not apply the remedies and the practices constantly, 1 month, 1 year, if you feel, oh, it's too long, I did 1 year practice, it's very short, because the habitual tendency is there from the beginningless of the time. No matter which rhythm you are, but the habitual tendency is there. We are so used to with these, the disturbing conception, right? So therefore, in order to make it separate from you, because the negative or disturbing the concept, the conception is not our nature. It's not our nature, but difficult to make it separate because we too much used with it. So therefore, making separate these two, my true nature, and this is so-called the temporary, the disturbing conception, making separate is rather difficult unless you apply those powerful remedies and powerful methods. And then another consideration that you need to pay attention is simply abiding in the retreat or remaining in the retreat is not enough, is not sufficient. In the retreat, you need to examine your mental attitude. That is your prime responsibility in the retreat. Shantideva says, sometimes if you misuse the Dhamma in the retreat, then instead of declining your negative forces, it may increase, right? So the location, the place of the retreat is not important. And the number of months, the years you are in the retreat is also not so important. If you are in the retreat, in a short period of time, if you really be so attentive with your practice and examine your each and every single attitude of the mind, body, speech, then the day by day, you can make a big changes. So if you are able to make big changes, then in short period of time of the retreat, you can gain a tremendous benefit. So when you come out of the retreat, then you can give good example to others, encourage people go to retreat. Because like me, you say like that. So otherwise, when you go inside the retreat, same. Come out, same. Maybe more, little bit. So therefore, every second, every hour, to check, to examine our attitude, mental attitude, motivation are very important. And like this time or any other time, you are like in the teaching or in the teaching ceremony or the Dhamma activity in the mandala or in the ceremony. So while you are in the teaching, of course, each and every time you hear this kind of precious teachings, and you may think or you may feel, yes, I need to make a change, and I have to make change, and I have to really be so serious with my practice. But problem is when we walk outside, after the teaching, or after the practice, after the session, then if you fail to walk with your emotion, walk with these discursive thoughts, walk with the daily life, and you fail to apply these teachings which you have been received already, but fail to apply. So this takes longer, and delaying your practices. And then you can't see the benefit from the practice. Then the laziness starts. Then you might think, oh, no use practice. I have spent like 20 years, 30 years I have been practiced, but not much benefit. So you feel discouraging, you know. So these things, to avoid such negative circumstances, one should be so attentive. Everyday life, that's what I said a few days back. If you do that, so that is the everyday retreat. Best is that choice. Then you can, there's not much burden that you experience that, oh, I have a family, I have a job, I have no time to do retreat. But instead of that, why don't you apply the everyday retreat? It's simple. It's just for you to pay just attention. It's so simple. Tado idam tencha sing, lelo yone sem jung tse, te se dala ngen rang sing, tu shu hingbo chamber cha. Tado idam tencha sing. Okay. During Dhamma practice, the certainty of your mind is very important, because sometimes you don't have enough certainty, or maybe parents influence you become a Buddhist practitioner, or sometimes maybe because of environmentally there are more Buddhist practitioners, then you feel, okay, I would like to become a Buddhist practitioner. So that is not enough. So Kadampa tradition, they always tell you, okay, check your motivation, see the situation, have wisdom. Through the wisdom, see which way is the suitable, which way is the suitable, which practice is suitable, and check thoroughly, check carefully. Then you enter into the Buddhism or into the whatever religion. But then from there, you have to gain the certainty. Idam means the certainty or determination. You have to be very determined and move towards to practice, to complete your practice, to complete your study, complete your realization. In the practice or during the practice, of course there are some unexpected obstacles. There are some obstacles like the physical sicknesses and some mental disturbances, and there are some unwanted circumstances or unfavorable circumstances arise. This is very common. So should not be discouraged because of these. Then how, like Milarepa's life, Jawago Tsangpa, like Naropa, Marpa, those great masters really gone through hardship their life, but never give up their practice. As a result, they have achieved the realization in their single lives. Shantideva says, I quoted from the Bodhisattva Avatara. He says here, for over countless and the vast number of eons and lives, I have been cut, stabbed, burned, and flayed alive innumerable times, but I have never awakened, which is true. In the hell realm, in the human realm, any other realms that we have gone through all this suffering, but never achieved any benefit. But, he said, the suffering involved in my awakening will have a limit while you are doing practice. It is like the suffering of having a small incision while the doctor is doing operation. So, small incision made in order to remove and destroy the great pain. You are so impatient with the discomfort while you are doing practice, but funny thing is, you are so patient with all these unnecessary pain and the suffering in these 6 realms. Endlessly we are cycling in these 6 realms and have gone through all this, like Shantideva says, a stab, a burn, and a cut, all this. But yet still you say, oh, don't mind, I don't care. So you're still going around and around. You are so patient and you're so kind to them. But while you're doing practice, a small, uncomfortable or unfavorable circumstance comes, you complain and say that, oh, when I do meditation, I got a back pain, so can I lie down? So like that kind of, no, because I received this kind of information. not through the YouTube or Facebook, but personally. So I can prove that. And then they say when I do meditation, I get like a chest burning sensation which disturbs me. So should I stop? Then you are expecting your expectation is yes, but they say no, continue. Then you feel bad. No? You would say this teacher is not so kind. So those things, so complicated. So you are very impatient. So the Shantideva says, change it. Try to be impatient with those unnecessary suffering and pain, and be patient with the suffering and pain while you are doing practice. Because this suffering and pain is very limited, but others are limitless. And he continues, Shantideva, in a Bodhisattva Jaya Avatara, even doctors eliminate illness with some unpleasant medical treatment. It's true. If you have a tumor or some serious disease inside, the doctor will never say, okay, eat sweets, cakes, ice cream, then your tumor will be gone. No. They will cut, make incision, they put the tubes inside. Yeah? So a little bit up, down there, like this, you know. So, you see, there is some unpleasant medical treatment. So in order to overcome, that is for what? That is to overcome your pain and the suffering of the disease and the illness. And in order to overcome like this kind of limitless and the needless pain and the suffering, we need some unexpected pain and suffering while you are doing practice. A physically discomfort, mentally a little bit disturbance, and some unexpected, lot of things that unpleasant or unfavorable situation will occur. But this is very normal. But you have to be patient. So therefore, overcome the limitless suffering. To overcome, I should be able to put up with some discomfort. And when this kind of unpleasant surgery or some unpleasant medical treatment, when the doctors perform, and you are appreciated with the doctors. So after that, you say, thank you. Thank you making scar here. Thank you doing all these things. Because you feel and you say, because this helps me to remove my tumor, my sicknesses. The same thing. Maybe somebody irritate you or push you, pull you. You are very impatient, right? But at the same time, you should think, oh, thank you for doing this, because you are helping me to overcome my anger. Yeah? You are helping me to develop the patience. So therefore, the Bodhisattva Jaya Avatara keep instructing us, be patient, whatever the negative circumstances come to you, you should accept. These are all for your practice to progress. Laziness. Lelo means laziness. So laziness is the biggest obstacle to the practice. Then the nyomle. Nyomle is like you regard yourself, sometimes you feel like I'm worthless to the practice. So this is not for me because I'm not suitable to this practice. So you're discouraging yourself. So that kind of negative thoughts arise. So you should examining your own fault and your own wrongdoing, and so try to realize your weaknesses and the faults and the mistakes. Then you are able to firmly root it with your practice. Tushuk Nyingbo Chamasa. Tushuk Nyingbo means they think of essential the morality. So you remind yourself that being so lazy then wasted life from the beginning of the time. Now this life, I have been obtained the precious human life, and I met up the great masters, and I received the profound teachings. If you if I fail to make useful or meaningful of my life, then what about, as a result, in the future, very difficult to be to obtain such precious human life. So therefore, now I should awake. I should awake. You are sort of like you are in a deep sleep. So by remembering these things, it helps you to awaken. As the Patrician Buddha says, I should take care of myself. So this means I should look after myself, not look after others. Means that every time we like spying others, yeah, and check others, but instead of that, check yourself. Check my motivation. Check my mental attitude. Check my behaviors. So this way you can deteriorate all these negative actions, and you can improve and develop the qualities. So this is our study. This is our contemplation. This is our meditation. Kade shenda 통해서 시달 송로 나왔다. 통일을 모습 방자신 따도 중지 내버자. Whoever, friends, enemy, or strangers, doesn't matter. So whoever, if you've seen them, this is kind of improvement. Try to improve the behavior, the morality. So manner of the peace, the truthfulness, and honest, the loyalty is very important. Does not simply mean just show your big smile. It doesn't make sense, right? So here says that show your smile face, and tell the truth. This means be very truthful. The truthful in your practice and be truthful with others. In order to help other sentient beings, you have to be very truthful, and you have to be very loyal. You have to be very honest. So this way, and you can help others. So the behavior or the morality is important. And on the other hand, it could be meant like the bodhicitta, the compassion, the loving kindness. If you do practice this, then because of the influence of these, from these compassion, loving kindness, and it will be very beneficial to others. They can sense and they can receive the valuable, how valuable the bodhicitta and the compassion, like Milarepa and those great masters, surrounding like even the wild animals, also their mind become very peaceful, harmony, and gentle. They don't attack each other. Rather, they become so friendly to each other. Because these are the power of the compassion, loving kindness, and the truthfulness, and the honest, and the loyalty. These qualities do have such power to change their mind. Therefore, you have to show a smile. Don't show a long face. So they will be very happy. So whoever see you, so they feel very touching. Say that, oh, such a nice person, good heart, always smiling. Yes, I hope so. You can try. But not artificial smile, genuine smile from the depth of your heart. That is as a result of being practiced of really the compassion and the loving kindness. Yeah. All right. So I will leave here.